Hey there, my name is Andrew, and I want to jump right back into the story that I started yesterday. So I put out a video. It's titled, I Saw Jesus When I Was Five. Definitely go back and watch that for the details, but the quick recap is this. Jesus came to me in a dream when I was 5 years old, and essentially he told me a parable, or showed me a parable, that I'd remember when I was an adult, to pretty much go out and tell his story. I also, about that time, had something happen, or had a circumstance going on where I was afraid, I was scared, and I asked God for a sign, and sure enough, He showed me the sign that everything would be okay. Like I said, check out that video if you want to go back and listen to all the details, but what I was told by people in the church was, God doesn't do that sort of thing anymore. He doesn't speak in dreams. He doesn't speak in visions. All that stuff stopped once we got the whole Bible written. Don't ask God for signs or anything like that. You shouldn't test God. Don't ask Him for miracles. Don't ask Him to show up in these sorts of ways. And so that's what I was told. That's what I was taught. And essentially what that is, theologically speaking, it's called cessationism. And that confused me as a kid. I didn't know the word for it. No one told me that word. I didn't find that out until later. But essentially, I'm going to church. I'm going to this building where we're being taught these lessons every week. That, our belief in God is the most important thing that we can possibly believe. And I'm sitting listening to these Bible stories, and it's like one of the things in the Bible stories happens to me, and I'm like, that's awesome. And then I'm being told, no, that's not true. That's not real. So that was really confusing to me as a child. But I still loved God. I still wanted to please God. I still wanted to do well. I never stopped believing in God. So, but from that moment forward, everything became very mental, cerebral, theoretical, academic. There was like a disconnect between my head and my heart. There was the idea that faith, everything about faith was just, it was, did you have the correct bullet points memorized? That's all it became. So, growing up, going through middle school, high school, I was depressed. I had anxiety. I did not want to be alive. I was in a really bad place. Did not have any kind of confidence. It was bad. It was not good. And so then, when I was 17, I saw Jesus again. And so the way that this went down was it began as another dream, or maybe you could say a series of dreams. It was very long and detailed, intricate. I'm not going to go through every single thing. Essentially, it was like another collection of parables, if you will. Different signs, different things, symbols I'd see play out in this dream, and years later, it's like I'd have these deja vu moments. I guess that's the best way I can describe them, where there would be a situation, a circumstance, or I'd be in a certain place or with a certain person, and it would remind me of this dream. Maybe not immediately, but I'd have this weird feeling of like, I've seen this before. I've been here before. This isn't new to me. This isn't completely foreign to me. And so it would bring me back to this dream. And so maybe another time I can go through certain aspects of it or certain details. But yeah, it was this series of things that I saw that would play out in my life where, yeah, I guess the best way I could describe it would be like deja vu moments. I'd kind of stop in my tracks and be like, what's going on? It would cause me to think back to this dream. And so, but the main part of this dream is seeing Jesus again. And so there comes a part in the dream where I am surrounded by demons. these grotesque creatures that are full of evil. They want to attack people. They hate humanity. They hate God. Straight up demons. I and just these other people are surrounded by demons, being attacked by demons. And then there is a bright light, a bright, blinding light. And in the midst of that light is Jesus. He appears, and this light causes the demons to become the ones that are afraid. They are covering their eyes. They are doing everything they can to back away and get away from the person that is in this light, and the person is Jesus. And he simply says to me, "Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid." And I mean, how many times in the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, are we told that? Do not be afraid. And so he shows up in this light. He says that. And then I sit up in bed, and I'm not dreaming anymore. I'm awake. And it's like he, Jesus, the person of Jesus, in that light, he's standing at the foot of my bed. Either that, or like maybe I'm like seeing in the spirit realm, and like what I'm seeing is overlaid onto, like the spiritual reality is overlaid onto the physical reality, and I'm still seeing it. And it's like, anyways, I'm awake, my eyes are open, I'm sitting up in bed, I'm still seeing what's going on. I'm overwhelmed. I pretty much faint, and go back to sleep. And then those dreams continue of just the series of symbols, parables, the things that would give me those deja vu moments later in life, to kind of remind me of this experience, remind me of this dream, bring me back to that time of seeing Jesus in that bright light and him saying, "Do not be afraid." So, contrasting that with when I saw him when I was 5, when I was 5, it's like he was concealing his glory, or concealing the magnificence, where he didn't want to overwhelm me as a kid. He was very calm, very gentle. Interestingly enough, like in the dream when I was a kid, he was like wearing the white robe, but he had his hood up. Very calm. Whereas in this one, he was displaying his power. He was displaying his magnificence. He was showing, "I'm bigger than these demons. I'm bigger than evil. I'm bigger than Satan. Do not be afraid." And so I had that experience. I had that dream/vision since I was awake for part of it. And so that was roughly about 10 years after my initial those initial happenings, where as a child I was encountering the supernatural aspect of God present in my life. And so here at the age of 17, that happens again, and I'm like, whoa, okay, so this stuff that I'm being told at church, this stuff that God doesn't really do these things anymore, God doesn't speak in these ways, and because we have the Bible, the perfect Word of God, that that's all comes, so we don't need any of this. So I'm like, all right, they told me wrong. Something is up. What's going on here? And so that I was hungry. I was hungry before, like even when I was in this other headspace, other kind of way of thinking, more in that cessationist mindset. I was still hungry, but it was like a hunger for head knowledge, for brain knowledge. It wasn't about actually meeting God, knowing God, submitting yourself to Him, to follow Him, to have your character changed, your person changed. It was all just cerebral stuff. And so I'm like, what is this? It put me back on that journey. It put me back on that quest to really know Him. And so that's that story. That's that second part. So it didn't end experiencing those things when I was a kid, being told differently, pretty much being taught out of my faith into a just strictly academic way of thinking. And there is more to the story, but I want to make these videos short and bite-sized, and just kind of keep them contained. I know there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack. And depending on who's watching this, there's a lot of folks that may want to dive into all the different little theological things or whatever. And, I guess we'll get to that. There will be a time and place for that. But yeah, I just want to encourage you that it may not be, and I know that my experience, my testimony, my story may be abnormal. So I know people may not be having dreams and visions and stuff like that. I get it. But there are people out there like that. There are people out there like that who have experienced that, or even experienced demons and just all, things like that, all kinds of things like that. And you may have grown up in a church environment where no one knew how to help you. No one knew how to talk to you. No one knew how to encourage you. They either downplayed it or was just like, oh, that doesn't happen anymore. Or they're just like, oh, that's nice. That's great. Or, there felt like there was something missing. Right. And so, but whether an experience like that has happened to you or not, the point is he's calling you. Jesus, the Holy Spirit, his voice is out there. He's stirring you. He wants to bring you to him. You have a choice. And so that happens in a variety of different ways. And so I'm just telling you a manner in which that happened to me. And it's not to say that we should, chase these things to try to experience them, but it's to actually know him. And we can't discount the times when he chooses to do things like this, that to us, we would call it supernatural. I just want to really, I just hope that what these stories I have to tell about my experiences just help and encourage you all in some way. We will get into a lot more later on, but I'm going to stop it here for right now. I want to, I'd ask that you do all the social media stuff I'm supposed to ask you to, subscribe, like, share, comment, share with anyone who you think would benefit from this. But definitely, I'd ask that you please subscribe, simply for the practical reason that I want to try to put out a lot of these videos at least once per day. I might double up and even do 2 or maybe even more a day. And I have no idea if that's supposed to be the appropriate YouTube or social media strategy for growing or whatever. I don't really care about that. I just know that I've got things that God's really been, like, when I've been praying, he's like, you need to start releasing this stuff. You need to start talking about this stuff. So yeah, definitely please subscribe just to keep up, as if you find this interesting or helpful or beneficial in any way, just please do that. There will be more to come. But yeah, so that's just my quick story about when I was 17 and when I saw him again. I encountered him when I was 5 and 6, that age frame, and then kind of went dormant. Still I was doing the church thing, going through the motions at church, just trying to stuff my head with knowledge. And then I saw him again, that whole story, when I was 17. And there is more to come. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're getting something from it. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you guys so much. I will see you next time. Bye.